good morning, good morning. This morning we're going to talk about excellence versus perfection. Excellence versus perfection. All right, raise your hand if you're kind of addicted to perfection. Hello, Sally. Where are you from, Sally? I haven't seen you before. So the question of the day is excellence versus perfection, and I'm asking you as you come on to raise your hand if you have some kind of addiction to perfection. Hello, Lisa. Hello, SK. Hello, Millie. Hello, Andy. Tell me where you guys are from, and tell me if you have any kind of a addiction to perfection. Rochelle, do you have any addiction to perfection? Raise your hand, say yes. If you're watching the replay, drop in replay, yes or no. Do you have any addiction to perfection? Well, hello, Denise Smothers Rust Gallagher. That's a lot of names. That's a lot of names to keep track of. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Sherry. So the subject of the day is excellence versus perfection. And actually, yesterday's subject, which I can't even remember what it was now, I credit to Denise Gallagher, and I'm going to credit this morning's subject to Denise Gallagher because Denise told me before I came out to do my live. So as a reminder, if you guys weren't here yesterday, I'm up in the woods, up in, it's called Twain Harte. It's above Sonora, California. We're staying at the Eager Cabin, which is Merced Buds, and there's about 8 of us here. And we're just having a super relaxing, chill weekend up in the forest. Played a little golf yesterday. People are playing dice. We're eating. We're drinking. I'm completely off the wagon. No veganism the last 3 days. And they're laughing at me because they're making fun of my Facebook Live because they're all in there watching me. So Denise, just as I'm coming out here, she says, hey, wait. She says, you got a thing. And I see it now. There's no mirror in there, but I see it now. Do you see that? And I tried to get it to go down, but I can't. And it's because I haven't had a haircut in a month. And when your hair gets over an inch long, you have to like manage what your hair does, which is why I keep my hair super short, so I don't have to pay any attention to it. And so my hair is not perfect, and I haven't shaven. And so the question of the day is excellence versus perfection. And do you drop in a yes or a no in the comments if you have any addiction to perfection? And I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying this morning, I really didn't care about the thing in my hair. Because I figured, well, I didn't actually figure it out till I got Facebook to let me in because Facebook locked me out this morning, but I decided after Facebook let me in that that's what I would talk about. Because in coaching people and working with people, I find an immense amount of stress and dysfunction and a lack of productivity because we're often more concerned about perfection than we are productivity. So we failed to launch, right? We failed to launch. Now, if you're a rocket going to the moon, I'm all for perfection, right? But if you're just launching a business or you're launching a project or you're launching something in your backyard or, you're going to organize your house or you're going to improve the relationship with your spouse or you're going to launch a new product, right? Perfection will lead to fail to launch. Why? Well, let's define perfection. What is perfection? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? How do you know when you have it perfect? How do you know you didn't miss something? How do you know that every different little piece of what you're doing, okay? So I don't know how many hairs I got on my head. Tens of thousands, right? And if I'm concerned about that one, well, then don't I need to be concerned about some of these? I mean, I might even have some hair growing out of my ear, even though I trimmed that before I came up here. But right? What is the definition of perfection? Well, to save us some time, you never get there, right? It's impossible. It's impossible to have perfection. And so if you have this thing wired up where you just hate to look bad, you hate to like perhaps fail, then you fail to launch. And the number one thing in productivity, folks, no matter what you and I are doing, is we got to launch. We got to get into action. We got to get the single daily actions going. We got to move, right? Even if you're not moving in like the perfect line, even an airplane when it's flying from point A to point B is off track 99% of the time. So you know the way a GPS works is it dials in that tree. Like I'm going to go from here, I'm going to go to that tree, but it's got limits on both sides, and so the plane is off track and it hits the limit, and it comes back on track and it hits this limit, and off track and hits that limit, off track, 99% of the time flying to point A to point B, the plane is off track. And the reason why flying works is, right, people launch, right? GPS is not perfect. We may think it's perfect enough. It's excellent, right? GPS is excellent. It gets us from point A to point B. So I'm not proposing being sloppy. I'm proposing launching and then maybe figuring it out on the way, right? Unless life or death is at hand, if the only thing that is at risk is looking good, then think of all the lack of productivity you and I have. So if what you're up to is business development and you need to talk to people for business development, and the reason you're not talking to people in business development is you're not sure exactly what to say to get them to say yes, then you're going to be locked into fail to launch. You're not going to talk to people at all. And almost everybody that I know that buys, they're already ready to buy. They're ready to buy. They may not know they're ready to buy, but they're ready to buy, and all they need is to have somebody give them an opportunity to buy. Have somebody open the door, even if they open the door in a less than perfect fashion, right? So I've told you guys this story before that I've interviewed tens of thousands of people that have been really, really successful in business. And I've asked them, especially in network marketing, what did your sponsor say to you to have you take a look? Can you remember what they said to you? And, most people can remember kind of what their sponsor said to them that had them take a look. I remember what Steve Spalding said to me 44 years ago to have me take a look. He says, you got to come to this meeting. We're going to make a lot of money. You got to come to this meeting. Right. That's a value-based proposition. Was he looking out for my interest? Was he trying to figure out what was in it for me? Did he find out what was important to me first? No. He wanted me to come to the meeting so he could make money. And he said, you got to come to this meeting. Now, that's not a prospecting conversation that any of us would teach anyone. It's horrible, right? But it got me. Why? Well, because eventually, not right then, but eventually I was ready. So I've interviewed tens of thousands of people that are killing it in network marketing. I ask them, what'd your sponsor say to you to have you take a look? And would you ever teach that to your team? And hardly anybody would ever teach what their sponsor said to them. Why? Because their sponsor just launched. They were pursuing excellence, perhaps, in the languaging of the invite, but they weren't paralyzed by the pursuit of perfection, which is not possible. Even a rocket ship is not perfect. How do we know? Because things go wrong. But the standard of excellence for launching a rocket is much higher than launching an invite for somebody to take a look at your product or your business, right? Because you're talking about billions of dollars at stake and lives at stake versus what's at stake if you kind of mess up your invite? Probably nothing, because your invite can be perfect. But if you're inviting somebody who's not ready, it doesn't matter. And your invite can be sloppy. And if you invite somebody who's ready, it doesn't matter. So the question is, do you have an addiction to perfection? And is it leading you to a fail to launch? That's the question of the day. How about you answer it in the comments? And if it's of value to you, share it. And I think I'm just going to wear this thing going on in my hair until I take a shower tomorrow. I might even shave. We'll see. check me out tomorrow morning. Hello, Andy. See you guys tomorrow.